I'd like to thank the grace of heaven, virtues of masters, the compassion of our grand predecessors, all transmitters, and every one of you for giving me this opportunity to learn to speak in today's class on 3 cardinal guides and 5 constant virtues. So, Confucius had lived from the period of 551 to 479 BC. The E stands for era. So his teachings and philosophies are the strongest influences within the East Asian culture and also the school systems. Confucius developed a set of philosophical teachings regarding the ideal state of the human minds and behavior. So while these teachings were adopted with the rise of the Han Dynasty, the fundamental values of Confucianism are still evident in many modern East Asian cultures. 2 of the central teachings of Confucianism are the 3 cardinal guides and the 5 constant virtues. So since the 12th century, these 2 have been used together. So let's first talk about the 3 cardinal guides. That we all heard about the 5 relationships. These are the 3 of the 5 relationships. The first one is the ruler guides subject. Second is husband guides wife. The third is father guides son. The 3 cardinal guides are a reminder of how important it is. According to Confucianism, we all have to respect authority and the elders. This means respecting parents by working hard to honor them. And it also means by respecting teachers by not questioning their knowledge or teachings. So all these relationships involves the authority over each other. The power and the right belongs to the superior. Example is to the older person over the younger, to the man over the women. Each person has to respect their superiority. The subject to his ruler, the wife to her husband, the son to his parents. And most of these relationships deals with family. Confucius believed that if the love between family is perfect, then everything will be perfect. So first is the ruler guide subject. Okay. So this includes all those that are above us. Example, government versus the common people, employer versus the employees, okay, teacher versus students, all those above us. Okay, that's called ruler versus the ruler between ruler and subject. The ruler and subject is categorized with righteousness. Confucianism described the nation as one great family. The ruler, as a gentleman or superior person, has acquired moral perfection, so he might lead by example with virtues. Subjects are filial towards the ruler, and there is harmonious relationship between the nation and the individual. This can also be translated as leader and follower, employer and employee. The ruler must be kind and caring to his subjects. Do you have a... Oh, I thought you were raising your hand. Okay. The ruler must guide, protect, and provide for the people. He must rule the nation with virtue. And the subject in turn must be loyal and respectful to the ruler. Mutual support and kindness for each other. In terms of employer and employees, employer will be kind, understanding, and considerate towards the employees. The employees will be respectful and loyal to its employer. So mutual respect and understanding between each. Confucius believed that there's reciprocity. Okay, and reciprocity should be used and practiced in one's entire life. And this is what it means. What you do not want done to yourself, do not do to others. Just like Jesus says, do not do unto others, do unto others what you would want others to do unto you. So the opposite, okay, but it's the same meaning, right? So Confucius says, if a man does not wish to do his full duty and be a good man, but wishes others to do their duty and be good man. He is unfaithful to himself and lacks understanding of others. So if you cannot do your duty and be a good person, you cannot expect other people to do the same. Okay. The ruler must himself be possessed of good quality, and he then may require them in the people. The best way of determining what not to do to others is to ask oneself if one would approve of this action or quality in another person. So think before we ask of other people. Second is husband guides wife. Husband and wife relationship is categorized with differentiation. Everybody has a role in the family. Okay. The husband treats the wife with respect and provides for her. The wife takes care of the husband and the family at home. Now the Confucius teaching is from ancient times. So in the ancient times, the men goes out to work and the women stays home and take care of the family. Okay? So Confucius says the importance of the relations between husband and wife cannot be overestimated, since they are the beginning of all human relationship. For this reason, it is essential for them to exercise care from beginning to end and maintain a long period of harmony so that they may obtain their family bliss. Okay, so everything starts from the husband and wife. The children will learn from the parents. So the parents and the wife, the parents must set up a good role model for the children to follow. When relations between husband and wife are harmonious, the children are brought up in an atmosphere of affection and happiness, which naturally creates respect and love among brothers and sisters. Therefore, in a family in which there is mutual love and affection between those above, which is the parent, and below the children, in front the elder brothers, and behind the younger brothers, left is the husband and right is the wives. There is bound to be abundant unity, propriety, righteousness, and good order. A family like this is called regulated. The country must be strong and cannot be despised. So if the family is in harmony and regulated, then the country will also be in harmony and in order. Okay. Mencius says, from the loving example of one family, a whole state becomes loving, and from its courtesies, the whole state becomes courteous. While from the ambition and disobedience of the one man, the whole state may be led to rebellious disorder. Such is the nature of the influence. So in other words, if the family is in harmony, the state will be in harmony. But if the state is in state is in chaos due to rebellious disorder of one person, then that whole state will be affected. Okay. Since a family is composed basically of husband and wife, its affairs cannot be determined by one person, and the division of labor must be applied. As a rule, the internal affairs of a family are decided by the wife, while its external affairs are decided by the husband, because the wife is in charge of the family at home. So the wife decide on what's happening at home, and the husband is in the working world, so the husband decide their affairs on the outside. As far as the children are concerned, the father is generally strict and the mother kind. Strictness tends to lead to wisdom, while kindness consolidates affection. The two together tend to build a rising generation, which is both wise and affectionate. Although two persons are in control, a single result is produced. The husband and wife are merged into each other in such a way that they cannot be clearly differentiated. So today's world, equality is practiced in many households. So the husband and the wife, they are equal, okay, in many aspects. So everything today is shared by both husband and wife with mutual respect, love, and kindness towards each other. Mutual and respect and communication is the most important in today's society. Okay, so the third Cardinal guide is the father guides the son. So there should be love between the father and the son, and the father and son is categorized with closeness. Parents love, support, teach, and guide the children. And the children in turn must respect and obey their parents. There should be care and affection in the relationship between parent and children. The parent must take care, nourish, teach, support, and raise the children with love. When children are treated kindly by their parents, their reaction is to be filial and obedient. The children, in turn, should respect and listen to the parents, and this is where filial piety comes in. So when the parent is kind and loving to the children, they will automatically be obedient, respectful, and filial to the parents. So it works hand in hand. So if the parent is not kind and does not take care of the children, then how does one expect the children to be filial and obedient to them? So it works hand in hand, right? According to Confucius, mere support without the expression of respect and affection could not be called filial piety. Okay, so filial piety is very important to respect with affection towards your parents. Okay, so it's not just material support. It is with loving kindness and affection towards our parents. So therefore, we shouldn't put off the virtues of filial piety. Practice it every day immediately. The first requirement of the regulation of a family is filial piety. Confucius says, only a man who never forgets his origin, even in the later stages of life, and continues to love and be concerned about his parents, can be called a man of great filial piety. Okay? We never forget where we come from. Without our parents, we wouldn't be here today. So not only do we remember our origin, we also have to remember through the later years of their life to take care, respect them with loving kindness, kind words, and above all, okay, take them, bring them into the Tao. Okay, so when parents are alive, they should be served according to propriety. When they are dead, they should be buried according to propriety, and they should be sacrificed to according to propriety. This is called filial piety. So not only do we serve them when they are alive, we also should serve them when they are gone. Always remember and never forget where we come from. Our parents, the memories, and all the respect, even though they are gone, we should still be respectful to them, because when we are in the Tao, whatever good deeds we do, they can benefit. This is how we can still be filial to them. Okay? It is never right for children to expose the faults of their parents publicly, just as it is always wrong for parents to do nothing but reproach their children for their mistakes. This would be neither filial piety on the one side nor parental kindness on the other. So if our parents have some faults, we do not publicly go and tell everybody about it. Okay, and in turn, if our children make mistakes, we cannot keep punishing them about it and keep reminding them about it. We should use the principles to guide them and teach them, and do it with kindness and love. If a man is unfilial to his parents but expect his children to be filial, he can never succeed, because it is contrary to the principle that one must be possessed of the good qualities, and then one may require them in others. Also, one must not have the bad qualities in oneself, and then one may require that they shall not be in others. So if we want our children to be filial, we must first perform and manifest filial piety to our own parents. So after all, filial piety is passed from generation to generation. We don't have to teach the children how to be filial. Just by watching us in our behavior and respectfulness towards our own parent, this is how they learn. Okay? If we are not filial to our parents, we cannot expect our children to be filial to us because we're not doing it. Okay? So Confucius says, parents are concerned about their children. They love and protect them in every aspect. What gives them the greatest anxiety in their is their children's health. Therefore, it is part of filial piety to pay attention to one's health and relieve parents somewhat of this anxiety. Okay? So we not only have to take care of our parents, we also must take care of ourselves. Because the most important thing in our parents' heart and mind is what? Their children. Okay? If we are not healthy, how do we expect them to be happy? So if we are not healthy, they will be worried about us. So first, we must take care of ourselves. Must take care of our health. Okay? Confucianism also view family as the center of Chinese society. So relationship with family members are defined throughout life. These are the centers of human relationships. Self-identity is determined by status as parent or child, ruler or subject. As one cultivates self, society will improve, since everyone will become a superior person with virtues. Caring for one another with loving kindness and compassion, then of course society will improve. Okay, so we not only love people in our family, this should also extend to people in outside world. Everybody is brothers and sisters. So if we show love to the outside world, this can be contagious. People will follow us, and then society in the long run will be in harmony. Okay, but we have to perform it first. The 3 cardinal guides and the 5 constant virtues are based on the Confucian notion of basic human relations and ethics regulating those relations. According to the philosophy behind these principles, ruler, husband, and father represents yang, which is the positive energy, and therefore are in the dominant position. On the other hand, subject, son, and wife represents yin, which is the negative energy, or the subordinate, or complementary. Okay? Each individual's role is determined by his or her position in society, as well as by family and personal relationships. Within the family, all individuals fall within a rigid hierarchy. Those in superior positions have a common duty of caring, support, and guidance to the subordinate members. The same moral value and the code of conduct that succeed in a family unit extends to the society and nation as a whole. So everything that relates to family extends to society and the nation. This concept is reflected in the Chinese word 国家. 国家. So the first character means 国 is nation, and the second one 家 means family. So as we can see, as within the family unit, loyalty and obedience to rulers were dominant virtues within society. So in the same manner, the rulers are to behave toward those they govern in the same caring way in which fathers were encouraged to behave towards their children. See? So there's not much difference between society and the family. Confucianism emphasizes that when the principal relationships for the family are tranquil, propriety will seep into the culture, and all of society, from the home to the village to the empire, will be tranquil. Okay. So, but today, however, in today's society, women has the power, right? Women power. So women wants to be the more dominant figure in today's society. That's why today, if you ask the parents, what do you want? You want a baby boy or a baby girl? And a lot of people will tell you, I want a baby girl, because the baby girl would, when they grow up, the daughter would be close to the parents, and the daughter would take care of the parents. Okay, so that's why in today's society is a little different, and some even carry the last name of the mother instead of the father. Okay, so today's world is a little different, and that's why today everything is turned upside down. Even this whole world is becoming so chaotic, right? So if we go back and follow Confucianism, then everything will be in order. But yeah, we as the Tao member, we should manifest it first, so other people can follow, so that society eventually will be in harmony. Okay. So we have the 5 constant virtues: benevolence or 仁 in Chinese, righteousness or 义, propriety or 礼, wisdom or 智, faith, sincerity or trust is 信 in Chinese. Okay. So the 5, okay, here we have the diagram which I copied from lecturer Thai's class, because I don't know how to do this diagram. So we have sincerity in the center, wisdom on the top, benevolence on the right, righteousness on the left, and propriety at the bottom. Okay. So these 5 ethical principles regulated society in ancient China. The 5 constant virtues were important in determining who was a true gentleman or superior person, which in Chinese is called 君子. Okay. Regardless of a person's class or social status, he was expected to exhibit the 5 virtues and use proper conduct toward other people. This also applied to the way in which rulers were expected to govern. A leader, from a local bureaucrat to emperor, was supposed to govern with benevolent concern for the well-being of his subject. So one reason those in charge were expected to live by the 5 constant virtues is that the Confucian concept of government involves leading by example. The belief was that if individuals in the government are virtuous, the subjects will also be virtuous. So let's start with 仁, benevolence. Benevolence represented by wood, the 5 elements. So this one represents wood. It is compassion and mercy. So benevolence is the first and most important virtue among the 5 constants. Confucius says that benevolence is the core of human living. It's the cardinal virtue, the one which controls all acts of morality. It manifests itself in the inner mind in love and compassion for the people, and in avoiding harm or envy towards anyone. It is goodness or humaneness, our inner thoughts rather than the right action. It's an attitude of the heart and mind. So this is the ability for us to feel for other people and be considerate of others, to be tolerant, have sympathy and empathy, and to be able to forgive. This is benevolence. Confucius' principle of 仁 means love and the golden rule. Again, not to do to others what you do not want them to do to you. Okay, so if we don't want others to do to us what I'm so confused with that. We must make sure we cannot do harm to anyone if we don't want that harm to fall upon us. Okay, so think before we do anything to anybody. What one recognizes as desirable for oneself, one ought to be willing to grant to others. Okay, so if we want something, we also must be willing to give to other people. That's benevolence also. Virtue, is the Confucian view, is based upon harmony with other people. It is a natural instinct for us to be benevolent when we see suffering in sentient being, because we all possess that same Buddha nature in every one of us, which came from God. For example, if we see a child drowning, it is a natural instinct for us to, if we know how to swim, of course, natural instinct for us to jump in and save the children, right? So if we see a homeless person in the cold of winter, it is also natural for us to help him with warm food, warm clothing, or a few dollars to be able to find, to get what he needs. Okay. So in Confucius theory, when Ren pronounces love, it has its origin biological bond, and it starts from the intimate affection and respect learned and shared in the family. So this love then extends toward other people. Example would be the natural pattern of love, such as our mother's love and care. Okay, so if a mother's love and care for their own children, okay, they have to love their own children before they can love other children, right? That is part of human nature. If you cannot love your own children, how can you love other children? Same meaning. So Confucius' formula professes, treat with respect the elders in my family, and then extend that respect to include the elders in others' family. Okay. Treat with tenderness the young in my own family, and then extend that tenderness to include the young in others' families. So this is what Confucius is talking about. We have to love those that are older than us, the elders in our family. And not only in our family, that love should be extended to the elders in other people's family. So if we see elderly people in public, okay, if we are in the subway train, we are sitting down and the elderly people are coming in with a cane, even without a cane, we would naturally get up and offer them the seat. Okay, this is love to other people. Okay, not only in our family. So we also have to love the children in our own family before we can extend that love to children in other families, right? Just like right now, right here in the temple, we have many little children here. But if we don't love our own children at home, how can we love children in the temple, in the outside world? Right? So that's what Confucius is talking about. The Confucian utopia is the realization of a universal humanity, starting from intimate love and respect shared within family, then progressing step by step toward group, community, county, country, and the world. If one does not have love for one's own family, then how can one love others? The Confucian viewpoints of benevolence can be interpreted by his moral ideal of people. This concept of 君子, 君子 means superior person or gentleman. An ideal human being with perfect moral character. That's a 君子. A 君子's mission is cultivating oneself so as to give all people security and peace. This is a process of broadening oneself to embody an expanding circle of human relationships in self-cultivation through genuine relationship with others. Okay, we must cultivate ourselves first in order to help others to cultivate. That's the same. So self-sacrifice is the fundamental, innate, and basic essential to what counts as a Confucian ideal person. Okay? So 2 is righteousness, justice. It's represented by metal. So that means the duties and obligations. Our duties and obligations. Righteousness or justice in Confucius ethics means appropriateness. Substance or standard of morality signifying the right thing to do and doing the things right. Confucius' concept of the Tao of righteousness emphasizes a person's persistence or firmness on the righteous way should never be compromised under any circumstances, whether poor or rich, honored or humble, prosperous or not prosperous. So there should be no excuse, okay, for us to follow the righteous way. So we all know what's right and what's wrong. And when we think with our Buddha nature, okay, we only do what's right. Whatever is wrong, we do not do. So no matter how poor we are, or how unfortunate we are, or how rich we are, we should always do what is right and never go down the wrong path. When righteousness denotes justice in Confucius ethics, it is concerned with controlling our selfish desires and limiting the endless pursuit of self-profit. So when there are conflicts between public interest and self-interest, individual benefit and moral principles, righteousness as justice maintains the prioritization of first justice and then profit. So if we put it into a situation where we either follow justice, okay, or profit, think about it. What will we choose? Human nature would choose what? Profit, right? For personal gain. They would not choose justice. However, according to Confucius, we should prioritize and choose what's more important, and that is justice or righteousness comes first, rather than what? Personal benefits. Okay? So that is doing the righteous things. So Mencius said, righteousness is the way, is man's path. His straight path, and one's path should be righteousness. It is the path along which human actions must pass. There's a question? Yes, Joe.
It's not a question, but dreams is also equivalent as saint.
Yes, like a saint.
Yeah, because you're acting like a saint.
Right.
Okay. So,
Noble person.
Yeah. Superior person.
Noble character, noble
One
moral
who has the
morality.
qualities, yeah, one who had those moral qualities.
moral character, yeah.
Like the Tao character.
Yeah.
Something.
Like a perfect character.
Right. So Confucius, he doesn't say anyone is saint. It's dreams. You have to be certain to his standard. Then he will call you dreams.
Thank you, Joe.
No problem.
So, again, Mencius says righteousness is the way. It is men's path, his straight path, and one's path should be righteousness. It is the path along which human action must pass. It is the foundation. If this foundation is not laid, that which is built upon, it cannot be solid. So once the wrong road is taken, the rest of the journey will lead in the wrong direction. It's just like when we do right, if we choose a wrong path, once we choose the wrong path, it will lead us into the wrong direction, and it is very difficult for one to come back into the righteous path. Okay. It's like, even like, for example, a child, when we raise a child, if we don't keep a close eye on them when they're teenagers, once they go down the wrong path, it is very hard to guide them back to the right path. If they follow the wrong people and they go and play games instead of attending school, it is very difficult for them to come back to school. Okay, so that is an example. So that's why we always choose the righteous path. Yes.
That's why the mindset is important, because the mindset is correct and the action will be
Right. Always use our Buddha nature to guide us. If you're confused, you think about what your Buddha nature would tell you to do. Okay. So the essential point of Mencius' teaching on the practice of righteousness, he says, If we wish to know what we should do, we should first determine what we should not do. If we refuse to do what we should not do, we shall do only what we should do. Okay. So in everything, we must distinguish between what we should and we should not do. Okay. That's why I said use our Buddha nature to guide us. So when we have determined what to do, then we should act according to the rules of conduct. Okay. Righteousness, in contrast to benevolence, involves thinking and acting from one's own viewpoint. It demands rational action, self-restraint to resist temptation, and the determination to do one's duty. Above all, righteousness is about preserving one's integrity. So we all know in our conscience what is right and what is wrong. So if we act according to our Buddha nature, we will be a very righteous cultivator. So if we know what we cannot do and still proceed to do the wrongs, then we are going against our Buddha nature. And then we will be committing faults and a lot of sins. Okay. So a cultivator, as a Tao cultivator, we should all be righteous at all times. A virtuous man always behaves properly, regardless of whether he is alone or with other people. So even at times when we are alone, we should still act righteously. Okay. So let's go to propriety, which is the third one. That is represented by fire. Propriety and rituals. Okay. So this means it's the outward social behavior, the action of benevolence in one's life, the etiquette, the customs, and even morality. Okay. Main focus is on human relationships. So the meaning of propriety is the way things should be done. In propriety, we must be aware of the way we act and function within a society. Proper behavior in any given social circumstance. Behaving properly even when performing apparently mundane routines carries at all times the significance of a sacred ritual. Okay, so we act properly in everything we do, even mundane stuff. Okay, it becomes such a habit that it will automatically make us act with propriety. If a person honors propriety, then that person will be perfect in all his relationships. This manifestation of propriety is especially important in what Confucius calls as the 5 key relationships. So we already talked about 3, so the other 2 is what? Siblings, between siblings, and between friends, right? So if one follows the concept of propriety, each of the 5 relationships will be marked with harmony. So propriety is to do what is proper and appropriate in conduct, speech, and action. It's the demand of respect and modest courtesy to other people. So as a cultivator, yes, Joe?
I would like to point out the li, right? Confucius used that li. It's actually this li. Li, tian de li.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
It's the manifestation of this,
Yeah.
the principle.
So
Oh.
it's just the way, okay, so I remember the reason that he used that li jie de li, right? That li is because with this li, it was too hard to be accepted by the people. That's what.
No, so he does,
Wait.
what? So,
Li tian de li, right?
Yeah, right.
People is.
so he's
not
saying
able
it's
to-
principle, he's
Right.
saying,
But it's-
when he
it's
meant
the same
principle, but, see, the principle is too abstract.
Yeah. He's
That's
talking
the
about
problem.
in practice.
That's
In
correct.
practice,
So-
it's the-
so
I mean,
How do you, how do you practice it? Yeah, right, how do you
Yeah,
follow
so-
it?
right,
So
so
to
he-
follow it,
he
you
used
use
that-
propriety, right, that's what,
Use
that's
that
what.
li.
Yeah, the propriety.
So when we see the li in the Confucius teaching, it actually means
The other li, the principal li.
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's good to know. Thank you, Jill.
It's from different perspective. Or one's, you can say one is the essence, the other one is
The action,
application, or
yeah.
yeah.
But that lead is that lead, it's the same lead.
Interesting. Thank you.
So, Lecture, you said
Yes.
Yeah, so the reason why he said, well, we understand it as this is because if we separate the two, see, that's the key. If we separate the two, then we become what? Attached to just a form. Get it? The propriety. It's a form, right?
Yes.
The bowing, or just,
But also because that's
yeah.
They
Has
can
no
easily
meaning.
do
Yeah,
that.
Precisely. That's what I'm saying. No essence. You can't separate it from its essence, i.e. the principle. Get it? Get it? So what I'm saying is, when the essence acts, it's behaving, it's doing things, right? It's behaving. It acts according to the proprieties. That's what I'm
Which
trying to
is
say.
your Buddha nature.
Yeah,
It needs
get
to
it?
be your Buddha-
So
according to
so
Buddha nature.
so there's no you can't separate it. You get it? So it's connected. Maybe that's a better term. It's connected. It's linked.
oneness.
Yeah, you cannot separate it. Because if we separate it, then it's just a form, like you said, a form with no meaning. And you can say just a tradition. Yeah, everybody bows, everybody does this.
Because
you know.
the lead, right, with the other lead that we use, the 10 lead, is too abstract, like
Yeah,
John
principle.
mentioned,
Yeah,
it's
principle.
too
True. You can say true.
abstract,
Yeah,
and
true.
people don't know
Which is the
how
essence.
to do it. And when you use the other lead, they
You can see it, right,
you
right,
can
right.
see
Yeah,
it, you
yeah,
can
yeah.
just do it.
Yeah.
It's
So
easier.
the
Yeah.
you should not decouple those two. Get it? It has to be linked.
Yeah, one guides the other.
Just like the Buddha nature and the our desires, our other part.
Human heart.
The
you should
human
be
heart.
guided.
Right, right. The
Yeah.
human mind. They say the human mind, human consciousness. Yeah.
Can't be separate.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right. It is guided by a Buddha nature.
Yeah, see, in the 大学, right, the great learning, 大学 means 学大,
Right.
how
right.
to
right.
become that 人 plus 1, so that, so we're learning to become the 大.
And then one.
So
To
we're learning
greatness,
become
yeah.
大.
That's
Alright,
the
so-
higher level meaning.
Yeah.
Well, we say great learning, but that's
That's just learning how to be great.
correct. or yeah. Learning to be like a Buddha, basically, to be
Yes.
what our essence
idea.
truly is. Yeah,
So,
what the,
so it's
you know,
very
that's all.
interesting how Confucius used the words.
Yeah, the way
That's
you
why
take
it's
the
a little
words.
hard to understand.
Same thing with Lao Tzu. Same thing. They're all. That's like they're enlightened beings. you know. So
Okay.
they're like hidden,
Yes.
meanings or let's say hidden or deeper meaning.
It's all because the people that's around that time, how much they can accept
Right.
the
So,
teaching.
yeah, so it's
How they
expedient
absorb
teaching.
or,
Correct.
and learn from it.
True.
Very interesting.
Okay, I only have 5 minutes, so I want to finish 4 and 5. So 4 is wisdom represented by a water. So wisdom is the innate awareness by which one judge right and wrong, good and evil. True wisdom comes from our Buddha nature. Okay, so wisdom is necessary in the practice of morality. Otherwise, we cannot become a virtuous person. Without wisdom, we will not have a sense of ethics, social skills, or common sense. The more we practice the other virtues, the higher our wisdom will be. So, however, we follow our desire and attachment, then our wisdom will be covered up. So, the greater the wisdom, the stronger the power of perception we will have. The stronger the power of perception, the more all words and actions will be regulated, and the more consistent they will be with the way. Virtue, benevolence, and righteousness. What is consistent with the way is right, and what is not is wrong. So when we have more wisdom, we are able to make better judgment. Our words and actions will be in accordance with our Buddha nature, and we will have a stronger awareness of what's right and what's wrong. Confucius said, to be fond of learning is to be akin to wisdom. So they are the same, okay? Mencius says, the feeling of right and wrong is the beginning of wisdom, and a man cannot be a man without the feeling of right and wrong. So number 5, the last constant virtue is faith or sincerity or trust. So faith is the center of all 5 virtues. With faith, sincerity, and trust, the other 4 virtues will be manifested. Faith is having confidence. Externally, our deeds should match our words, and internally, our words and our minds should be the same. Okay, should be one. Therefore, our thoughts, our words, and action should always be the same. We cannot say one thing and do another, and then we will be lacking trust, right? If we say one thing and do another, it is so obvious for people to see that in us. So if people see that in us, they cannot trust us. So we cannot do that. We can earn the trust of others when we do as we said we would. So, and I always say to myself, unless I can do it, I cannot promise to anyone that I will do this. So once you said it, you must follow with the action. Okay, always remember that, even to little children. Once you promise them that you're going to take them to the park, you got to take them to the park. Or the next time you tell them, they're not going to believe you. Because little children are smart too. Don't think they don't understand. Okay? So always do what we promise. An example is Confucius taught his disciples to be honest. In study, if we know it, say we know it. If we don't, then say we don't. He thought that it was the correct attitude towards study. So a person who keeps his word will naturally win respect and care from other people. Like our holy teacher always tells us, our action, words, and heart and mind should always be one. When we have faith and sincerity in the Tao, our thoughts, words, and actions are always righteous and proper. Okay. Others will believe in us when we talk to them about the Tao, and they will be willing to follow us to come to the temple. And this is very important because we are representing heaven. So our actions and our words are representation of heaven. So that is why as a cultivator, we must make sure what we say, what we do, okay, is all connected. So having faith and sincerity will gain protection from heaven and respect and kindness from others. So in conclusion, Confucius says, the superior man in everything considers righteousness to be the substance. He performs it according to the rules of propriety. He brings it forth in humility. He completes it with sincerity. And this is indeed a superior man. And then she says, the superior man is distinguished from other men in what he preserves in his heart, namely benevolence and propriety. The benevolent man loves others. The man of propriety shows respect to others. He who loves others is constantly loved by them. He who respects others is constantly respected by them. So if everyone can follow Confucius' 3 cardinal guides and the 5 constant virtues, then it is without doubt that the 5 relationships will be in harmony. One can best cultivate their character by understanding that propriety encompasses most importantly the doctrine of the mean and the 5 relationships. And the doctrine of the mean is the way in which one should make decisions in life, in which the best decision is always the middle between unworkable extremes. So taking the middle road, as Confucius said, would guide one to the way things should be. Therefore, if everyone plays out his or her part well, then naturally everything will be in order and will be in harmony. In its ideal sense, a person following the 5 constant virtues will be perfect in all his relationships. So we should regard the 3 cardinal guides and the 5 constant virtues as the foundation for Chinese culture. These are guides for discipline and rules of conduct. Individuals who demonstrate the right moral perspectives will naturally behave properly. Okay, thank you everyone for your attention. If I said anything wrong or I did not cover this topic well enough, I ask God and all the saints and Buddhas for their forgiveness.